Hello and welcome to a movie review podcast. I'm your host, Deoxys Prime, and joining me to discuss a certain hedgehog movie, we have Colin.
I forced everyone to do this.
Yes, you did. We have Frank.
I watched this movie without watching the first one specifically to participate in this, so Colin, you better thank me.
I'll thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt.
Hello. I watched a shitty, well, not super shitty, but a shitty cam rip instead of going to the theater.
Thank you for participating in the economy, Matt. And we have Classic Max.
Greetings! I think I'm the only one who went to a theater and paid money to see this.
That's not true.
What?
A lot of people went to the theater, made $70 million.
Oh,
oh my god, yeah.
So we should probably mention what movie we're talking about. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie.
Not the game.
Not the game.
When's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, the game, in which we get to play as an angry black woman and attack a government official?
I would play that.
We were born in the wrong era. They don't make movie adaptation games anymore.
While
sadly.
Barracuda plays.
But considering that we are the foremost experts on Sonic the Hedgehog, because we all came from a Sonic the Hedgehog message board, and the fact that there are no Muppets among us, I think that qualifies us to give our opinions on this movie.
Holy fuck.
Surprisingly, I had requests to do this when Frank and I did our Spider-Man podcast. Aside from all the comments that were just the same joke about how it wasn't like a Sonic OST, I had like a few people ask if I was going to do this movie. So
God.
We're going to review this movie.
Yay.
And I think it's safe to say we all enjoyed it, maybe to varying degrees, but I think we all enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was somebody who wasn't personally a big fan of the previous movie. I thought it was fine, but it definitely was not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I think
this I found a lot more palatable.
That was definitely a very common reaction, and I think a lot of the enjoyment myself and other people who did kind of like that movie got from it was that our expectations were like so fucking low they probably couldn't even be accurately recorded. So going into that movie thinking it was going to be the worst thing in the world and walking out of it and going like, yeah, that was all right. Like that was a good feeling.
Yeah.
It made the movie seem better than it was. It got a lot of things right. It got a lot of things it messed up, but you know, it wasn't it wasn't the traditional like video game movie shit that we're used to seing.
It wasn't Monster Hunter.
Oh, Jesus, I forgot about that one.
I hated the first movie. I'll say it. I did not like it. But going into this, I had zero expectations, and I was surprised it actually tried to be more of a movie than the first one, which I felt was just kind of like a overblown concept trailer for a Sonic movie. This did feel like an actual movie that they were trying to make, and there's character development with arcs and everything in this, so I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Well, it's the expectation things is funny because like I think myself and a lot of other people out there had very high expectations for this movie because everything they had shown from the trailers really seemed to indicate that like they were actually going for it this time. They were more interested in making a Sonic movie than a movie with Sonic in it, which is how I'd probably describe the first movie.
Yeah.
And, you know, they seem to be doing everything right, and to be able to walk into a Sonic the Hedgehog movie with high expectations and also walk out of it, in this case, having those expectations met and maybe exceeded in a few instances. Like, maybe that's this movie's biggest success. Jesus, I can't talk. And
we'll edit that in post.
We're leaving that in. But yeah, it's just like I'm kind of flabbergasted that they pulled this off. Like to think about how a Sonic the Hedgehog movie is now like the king of video game movies. Like that's just absurd.
Yeah, like for so long the games are just like laughable. Like aside from, you know, Sonic Mania, I think that there hasn't really been a lot of like heart or passion put into the Sonic games. But then seeing this movie, and while it's it's not my favorite, and I do have problems with it, it's clear that they were like trying to like really honor the legacy of like Sonic and the games in this movie. And so it's weird how there's more like passion put into the movies than like the actual games.
Right.
Yeah, and like with the first movie, there was definitely they sprinkled in a lot of references that made sense, and it was nice to see some of those things. But this is more in line with honoring the story of those games.
Yeah, the first movie has like, maybe like the references are more like Easter eggs, but in this one they're taking like the references and the lore and turning it into like an actual part of the movie, which was nice to see.
Yeah. And what I really liked about it, in terms of what they're taking from the games, is that it's not really explicitly based on any classic game or the character and the characterization of let's say the main trio. The characterization isn't necessarily pulled from the more concrete character writing of the adventure games either. It's not my Sonic, quote unquote, right? And I'm totally okay with that. I think they struck a really nice balance between that concrete characterization that we had historically, and then what your perception of them might have been from the classic games. It's a younger Sonic. It seems like it's a more
Sonic, you're just a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a more uptight Knuckles.
Yeah, it is weird. Like that is one thing is. Like, I'm so used to Sonic almost being like this, like I don't want to say father figure.
He's like to me. He always seemed like ageless. He's like, I don't know. It's like Donald Duck or Mickey Mouse or something. It's like I don't think of them as like adults or kids. They're just them,
right? I mean, like he's confirmed technically. In like
a Sonic Heroes manual.
In a Sonic Heroes manual that he is 15. Speaking of which, I was not expecting this movie to basically turn into Sonic Heroes at the end. That did kind of happen.
Well, yeah, we'll get there.
But
by the way,
he is
we probably should say there's going to be massive spoilers for this.
Oh
like, we're gonna talk about the whole movie. So
I'm pretty sure literally everybody in the world already knows about the big spoiler at the end. But anyways, but yeah, it is kind of weird. Like when you think about it, it's like Sonic actually, I guess technically he is just a kid, or at least that is kind of I think what people perceived him as back in the day.
Yeah,
and it is a nice, but yeah, like Colin said, it's a nice balance between this is happening and like just. Oh, look at this! Look at this cute hedgehog who has a bit of like attitude and like skateboards and stuff.
They've got a little bit more of like a vulnerability to him, and then they've even got like some of the more like if you take from some of the Roger stuff where like he's a little bit more self-aware, self-deprecating. So I think it just kind of picks and chooses a lot of palatable traits.
It's a nice change of pace from like what was it like there was some like really autistic mandate where like they said like Sonic can never like be shown as like vulnerable or ever be shown as like having emotions basically.
Yeah.
Like he's not allowed to be a character. He has to be a caricature is essentially what that mandate was.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
There is something that like some stupid. Like,
I mean, every series typically has like a Bible on how you have to depict certain things, and it would
you cannot have Mario lean on the Nintendo.
Yeah, that's
logo.
what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
But I mean, yeah, like that's kind of how Sonic is now, and like his personality has been established for so long that like deviating from that feels wrong in the games. But because it's a movie, you're kind of left with a blank slate, and as long as you capture the things people like about the character, then it's fine if you add new things or explore the character in different ways, which I think these movies do well. And my biggest one of my biggest concerns about the movie was just how it was going to treat Tails and Knuckles. Because those are two characters that I feel like the games have been doing a big injustice to over the last decade or so.
But they even appear.
What's that?
I would say much longer.
Appear.
Yeah.
Well,
probably for Tails, the Knuckles stuff. I mean, he's just kind of been a side character, and then
Knuckles has fallen to the wayside for like 20 years at this point.
Yes, you are right about that, but like specifically, I'm talking about the more recent Sonic Boom stuff, which I don't think those are necessarily bad in the context of the Sonic Boom universe, but because they've kind of crept those personalities into the mainline games, it feels wrong, especially in Knuckles' case. Like Knuckles, this has been talked about to death, but like Knuckles is not supposed to be that dumb. It's comical, it's farcical, because that's in the Sonic Boom universe, the whole series is a comedy. But they treat it outside of that. It just feels wrong, and it's feels inconsistent with how he was originally portrayed, which I think is how the movie decides to go with it, in that he's much more naive, he's much more trusting, and he has that vulnerability to himself as well. And even though I think the movie kind of, accelerates that characterization a bit, in order to fit a movie, especially because he's not friends with Sonic most of this time, you don't necessarily see all that, but it at least hits all the right notes with that character that I was extremely happy that they went for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty good. There's a fair share of like dumb Knuckles jokes, like Knuckles doesn't know anything.
Hey, that stuff's okay.
Yeah, like it wasn't like overbearing or anything.
It was actually funny, so like I can't fault it too much, even if they go a bit too far by the end. But like,
oh yeah, no. By the way, that's another big upgrade from the previous film. Is that while there are a lot of there are some duds. Like a lot of the pop culture references a lot of the pop culture references fall flat. But in general, the comedy is much sharper this time. Mm-hmm. There are even some pretty funny visual gags that they've got going on. Like I think the hardest I laughed was when I think Stone was closing down the coffee shop, and he replaces the A with an F-.
With the F-.
Yeah. And just to stick on the characterization for a bit here, I was floored what they did with Tails, because we've like. I feel like I don't know if it's ever really been depicted on screen of like Sonic and Tails becoming friends. Like it's talked about back when Tails was introduced, but to actually see that and see it done well was just so nice, because you just don't see them being friends anymore. Like Tails has become Sonic's sidekick instead of Sonic's friend, and
Tails has become a borderline damsel in distress at this point.
At times, yeah.
I liked what they did with that in the later half of the movie, because I really thought that they had a fairly solid dynamic as the movie went on.
They have like instant chemistry.
I thought it was a little rushed at the beginning. That
they meet in a cop car.
You have this sort of dynamic where Tails like knows who Sonic is from the start.
Yes.
He looks up to Sonic and he idolizes Sonic, and he's kind of just starstruck at this idea of meeting his hero, which I think is a cute angle for the character. But he kind of jumps in with this bit like, oh, like, do you trust me? And Sonic's like, no, of course I don't trust you. I just met you. And they do this crazy little bit. And from there, they're fast friends, which is cute. But I think I would have liked to see a little bit more in the interim in that period. The two of them kind of forming this little bit of companionship. And establishing common ground between the two of them a little more in depth. I like the interplay between the characters. I thought it was great. Mm-hmm. I definitely would have liked to see more of it than some of the human characters that we saw on screen.
Yeah. Like if there's one criticism major criticism I've had to the movie, it's that it does kind of fast track a lot of these plot points to get everything in there. Like establishing how Tails knows Sonic, and having that exposition scene on the mountain with Knuckles is just a little bit awkward. Like you have to have those scenes, but like it's clear they had a lot to get through, and the fact that the movie navigates that well enough is, I think, a big success to it. Like, obviously, they could have cut out some of the fucking wedding shit to maybe ground the relationships between these characters a bit more.
They had to close that plot thread somehow.
They really didn't.
No, they didn't. I have a theory about that. Why that scene's in the movie. We can get to it when we get to it.
I mean, I know.
So, we may as well preface this. So I'll preface it with some of my thoughts if we're gonna jump into the wedding thing.
Sure.
So something I do appreciate about the movie is how much of the previous movie, which again I wasn't a huge fan of, how much of the previous movie isn't so quickly swept under the rug and discarded. Mm-hmm. I mean, they could have had the human characters, Tom and Maddie, they could have just had them go off to the wedding and literally not appear.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I was so happy.
The last 2 minutes of the movie. Yeah, so, but I actually appreciated that they got pretty much as they could out of Tom as they reasonably could without him.
My favorite Sonic character,
into
Tom.
The movie. Yeah.
Listen,
I think he adds a layer to Sonic's character that was really nice.
Yes.
Well, to this iteration
Sonic's
of Sonic,
dad, Tom.
Yes. In the movies, it makes sense that they portray him as his dad, and it works.
Yeah. In the first movie, they were friends, though.
Yeah, I would say the same of Maddie, the wife character, except she also takes a bigger part in that extended wedding scene, the wedding raid. So she gets some points docked, and then I also appreciated that they didn't just throw stone away. I think it shows that the people who worked on the movie actually quite enjoyed their time.
Well, yeah, and they also paid attention to what people liked about the first movie. That's how you get Stone in a bigger role, and I was perfectly fine with that. I thought he was a great character.
Because Eggman benefits from having a sidekick.
Yeah, he always does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing about the wedding scene is I was totally fine with it. I was on board to it, right up to where you get to the twist, and I was like, okay, that works. It's just you didn't need to go any further than that. You could have just skipped to breaking them out.
So here's my theory, because there's so to set up context for us, I don't know, for this movie, it's there's the wedding scene. Tom has switched up the Sonic's rings with the wedding rings, and then Sonic and Tails come through the portal and they crash the wedding. Then it's revealed that the wife's the husband, the groom, is actually a agent for Gunn, and
Operation
it's all
Catfish.
Yes, hilarious, and it's all been set up, and then Gunn captures Sonic and Tails, and then that scene should be over. However, then there's this whole extended scene where Maddie and the bride, they go in to the hotel resort, and they try to rescue Sonic and Tails, and it's this whole long scene that's just goes on for too long, and it's not funny. No one in my theater was laughing at it at all. Not even
you could literally cut it in half.
I know. Yeah. And then so I'm thinking about this. I'm like, why is this in the movie? Because you could just cut it out of the movie and nothing would change. The bride and groom aren't referenced later in the movie. There's no point to it. I'm thinking it's a studio note, because Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Tom, Eggman, all the main characters, we're all dudes. So I feel like this was a studio note to put some more women scenes in the movie. That's my only reason why that could be in the movie, because it feels so
I don't know if the ladies
disjointed.
are really going to appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's that was what I thought.
It's not. I don't think it's necessarily a wrong way of thinking.
Maybe just think. It's just what
and it's not even necessarily that it's anything wrong with those characters.
No,
they just could have done something better.
Yeah,
it just felt so half-assed, and it just felt like a last-minute rewrite. Oh crap, we got to put something in real quick.
Yeah, you basically have a side plot with these characters that no one's invested in because you haven't really made us invested in them. So.
It really does feel like a shoehorn. You can tell the amount of passion put into everything else in the movie in comparison to that scene, which just feels like a very half-ass It feels like a scene from like an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, it's like a bad comedy.
Yeah. There's also some of the music choices are a little odd too.
I mean,
that's just a problem with like just modern movie.
Yeah, I guess that's just a problem with. Modern
I think it's super
comedy.
disappointing in general that there wasn't more Sonic music in these Sonic movies.
Yeah. I hope they rectify that in the next one.
Like they have like a couple notes of the drowning theme when Sonic's underwater, but like it doesn't like roll with that bit as hard as it should. Like it's such a perfect opportunity and they don't take it.
Let's have Barracuda and like 20 seconds of Walk by Pantera. Sure, that's all we need.
At least
don't forget Uptown Funk.
Oh yeah, Uptown.
Best scene in the movie: Sonic and Tails dancing to Uptown Funk against the dumb Siberian Russian people.
I
legitimately love that movie.
That's a good example of a scene that could have been so fucking awful and
but they make it work.
And they make it work.
Like I don't know how to.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce her name. We should give credit to Tails' voice actress. I forget how to
Colleen
pronounce her name.
O'Shaughnessy.
Yes, she brings it to the table. Like she's up against really like good. Major stars in this movie, and she fits perfectly in this movie. I think she did an amazing job, and she makes Tails, that character, just work.
It's almost as if she's a professional voice actress.
I know.
Yeah, I like Kate Higgins as Tails too, but Colleen O'Shaughnessy is definitely my favorite voice that the character has had, and this is definitely the best Tails performance. I think definitely, bar none.
They gave her something to do, so
yeah,
she ran with it.
Yeah.
I want to. Okay, we haven't talked about Jim Carrey's Eggman yet, and I want to touch on this a bit because I feel like I maybe have an outlier opinion when it comes to this character. I was actually not a huge fan of Carrey's performance in the first movie. Like it's fine, it's enjoyable. And I understand.
It's just Jim Carrey.
I understand when you hire Jim Carrey for a movie like this, you want a Jim Carrey performance. It just feels like it's still a bit like if Eggman's like a 9, Carrey's like bring it up to an 11. Like it's a bit too much.
Yeah, he's a little too goofy.
Yes, like even right up to the end when he's defeated, he still has a joke. Like none of this really matters to him. Like he's not even upset that Sonic beat him.
I mean, I can appreciate that he is at least moderately threatening in this movie.
Sure, and seeing Eggman actually win and get the emerald and use the emerald for something is, something the games don't really do much.
Yeah.
But
it's throwing back to Sonic 3 at the end. Right?
Yes, it is, and it's nice. It's like he certainly has a good role in this movie. I'm just saying, like, I just wish Carrey would bring it down just a little bit so that we can maybe get closer to the Eggman of the games, who has even throughout all these years been the standout character of the franchise.
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't dislike how Robotnik is portrayed, but it doesn't.
I mean, like every line he has, it's either like some sort of like pop culture joke or something, and they don't always land.
Yeah, they don't.
It's like
I was not expecting to see Eggman floss in this movie.
If you told me that would happen, I would believe you, though.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I was surprised there wasn't more like goofy dancing like there was in the last movie.
Yeah.
Well, you see, Sonic actually flossed on him in the previous movie, so this is actually a callback.
That is true. That is true.
Yes.
So, but Sonic flossing is 100% in character, though.
Sonic would floss, yes, and he would dab.
He also would use the phrase "rent free."
Oh my god!
Yeah,
he did. Did they say that in this movie?
Yeah, in this movie when he says I've been living rent free in Eggman's head now, or whatever, something along those lines. At like the very end, like when they're coming up with their plan to defeat him.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think I still quite like the casting of Carrie in this role. In fact, I thought it is kind of inspired in that there is a surprising amount of overlap between Jim Carrey and Dr. Eggman. I'm like, okay, yeah, that actually works fairly well. I don't necessarily think that he should bring it down to be more in line with who Eggman is, just in case like it's like, oh, it's not like the game, so I don't like it. It's more a matter of I do think that even understanding that it's a lighter movie, I think it would legitimately still be it'd be more fun if he was angrier and more pissed off.
Yes.
Yeah. Or they just write better jokes for him.
That
I don't know.
Like he has to hate that hedgehog.
I just want to see Eggman point up a gun to someone's head like in SA2. That's all I want.
You can channel more of Baldry, who is the best Eggman.
Mike Pollock, turn this off now. Stop listening.
But
Long John Baldry is the guy who voiced him in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
It's funny because there's been this whole conversation recently about Jim Carrey saying he might retire and that they would not recast Eggman if that were the case. And I'm like, you could recast him. Like,
we need to have Eggman and Sonic team up in the next movie. That's the natural evolution of this arc.
It would feel weird if they do an adaptation of Sonic Adventure 2 and Eggman's not there. Like,
yeah,
they could do it. I mean, they could do a lot.
Who would you cast?
No. So I wouldn't recast Eggman. So you could sort of swing Shadow as the sole villain.
Nah.
But you could also, and this is more of a stretch, you can keep Gerald alive for the movie.
Yeah, you could.
Gerald Robotnik?
Yeah.
Just instead of having him dead, just having him actually still in prison. And you still see all those like crazy things on the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
I could see that. Still going after revenge.
What do we think of Sonic's mom, Longclaw?
Oh,
fine. I think Longclaw's use in the movie was very utilitarian.
I didn't see the first movie, so he kept talking about Longclaw this, Longclaw that, and I was like, who the fuck is Longclaw? And then they showed her when like he like opens the magic map and like the Obi-Wan Kenobi recording is there.
Yeah.
And it's utilitarian is a good word to describe it. I really, without the context of the first movie, I think it's definitely peculiar. But
I mean, yeah,
it gets the job done, I suppose.
They didn't need to go back to that well like too much. It was fine.
It's there to give Sonic development.
I do think it's weird. Like, I mean, they obviously talk about this big war about the echidnas and the owls, and it's super weird how like literally everyone but Knuckles goes to fight this war and die, and that's why he's the last of his tribe. It's like this must have been super fucking bloody, insane war for them all to wipe each other out, and no one but Knuckles is left. But
yeah,
my favorite line of the movie is when after that Longclaw Obi-Wan message, the one deputy police officer, there's like a beat, they're like in their garage together, and he turns to Tails and he goes, "Was that like your dad?" And Tails goes, "What?" That was I like that line.
Yeah, like I said, they did. I think they punched up the comedy appropriately.
Yeah, I think they
for the most part, even though I still don't think it's like uproariously hilarious or anything. It's still worth far more chuckles, even though it does have Knuckles in it.
There you go.
I didn't have a frame of reference from the first movie, so I don't know what the comedy in that was like. The comedy in this movie was about what I expected.
The comedy was a lot of Olive Garden references, so you would have enjoyed it.
Well, this one was all Four Seasons references, so you know what?
I mean, that was, it still felt like they toned down the product placement compared to the first one. It was way worse than the first one, but they at least turned it into a joke. It wasn't.
I did like the joke where the guy's like cancel my reservation at the Olive Garden.
But that was it. They left it as that. So
right, that's all they said.
Okay, what did we think about like the animation in this movie?
Oh, you mean like just like the CG in general, or
yeah.
So
I mean, I'll say this: I watched a rip, so I'm not sure how actually good it was. I couldn't really tell at times.
I mean,
but,
you can still tell from like the advertisements and stuff, but like, so it's funny because this is the whole Arlo thing where he like bagged on Knuckles' cartoon gloves, and this is it kind of hit on something I've been feeling since the first movie. Because obviously, the big controversy about the first movie was the super ugly, horrific, realistic Sonic design that they went for originally. And then when people rightfully had a backlash against that, they rolled it back and made him a more cartoonish design. And I think if you look at it in like a vacuum, you look at that and you go, Sonic really stands out compared to everything else in this movie because he's literally just a cartoon character in a realistic world. And when they did that, people overwhelmingly accepted it because we don't fucking care that he's a cartoon character. It's fine especially because we've seen the alternative when you try to make him more realistic, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've accepted that, and now to roll into the second movie, they obviously double down on that by adding more of cartoon characters in Tails and Knuckles.
And even it's not just the characters, but I think in general, what Omega's referring to is just the CG in general, which is itself, it's very Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It works.
That's how I describe it.
It obviously stands out. You recognize that it's not there, but I just feel with these movies, it's certainly good enough that it's not distracting. Like, it's not bad CG. Boy, does that take you out of a movie, whereas this does not. You just sort of acknowledge that it's not real. But I think we've all kind of come to accept that that's fine. That's what we want out of these movies. We want the characters to look like the characters, and the CG team has done more than an adequate enough job of realizing these characters in this world.
So my thing was, I saw this in an actual movie theater, unlike these guys, and I think at first I was so put off because the CG was too good. It was giving me like major like Uncanny Valley vibes at first. Like, it felt like the CG was so good. It looked like they were like not CG characters, but like people in like costumes almost at times. Especially like, I mean, we're talking about the glove rendering here. The glove rendering was so good. It looked like actual like real gloves.
Like
it looked like, yes, it looked like people in like the Walt Disney World, like those theme park costumes, like especially in the beginning with like Sonic on the boat. Whenever there's like the characters are like next to a person, it was like freaking me out the first couple scenes. It like, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a Red Letter Media Best of the Worst episode where they talk about this horrible like Sasquatch movie called like Little Bigfoot, and there's like this little like Bigfoot child costume in that movie, and it's also like a small furry creature with giant eyes, and it was like really disturbing me at first, but eventually I got used to it. But I wanted to point that out. It was just very, very upsetting at first, but eventually got used to it. But I just wanted to point that out, that glove rendering maybe went too far.
It is still a little bizarre seeing Sonic characters with like actual fur textures. Instead of like weird skin. Right. Like weird fur skin like what the games do. But I mean, I don't know. I got used to it. I thought you were going to talk about, like, there is one scene that I saw a webum of before where like Knuckles grabs Stones' hand and it just looks kind of off.
Well, yeah, that's also the thing that the Arlo stuff was touching on, is like they are perfectly dedicated to these characters because they did keep Knuckles' big fucking huge ass hands,
big boxing gloves with comical spikes on them.
Yeah, and it's like,
does Knuckles have the? I didn't notice. Does he have the Lego shoes?
He absolutely has the Lego shoes in this movie.
Based.
So it's like they're just totally committed to these designs, and like that's what people want. So I just don't understand how anyone could really complain about that.
Yeah, I'm glad he has gloves instead of like making them like his claws or something stupid.
I am glad how we also have kind of just accepted Knuckles as kind of adopting his like Sonic Boom design because I think it actually works really well. Like
well,
his
this is more proportional.
Yeah, actually having like an upper body to him rather than just this like bean body.
Yes.
Sonic Boom was a mistake. I can't believe it was so influential for so many years.
I mean, for so many years, it was like the only good thing about Sonic, so...
That's true.
Yeah.
But now we have these movies, and hopefully they set the new standard for
At least
I am, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious on what effect they might have. It seems like, I mean, at this point, they're putting it all in on Shadow. So really think about the implications of that, like a big budget Hollywood movie that's probably making you an absolute killing in merch right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're putting it all in on Shadow the Hedgehog, a character that you have been trying to sweep under the rug for like 15 years.
People won't let them, and that's what's so great about it.
Alongside like
oh god,
Knuckles, who's been totally swept under the rug, and Tails, who's been very stripped down as well. I mean, people. Here's the thing: Zoomers really, really aggrandize the adventure games, and I have.
I mean, now they're aggrandizing.
Kind of been on record trying to feel out, how much of that is just the nostalgia factor of it, and they have this perception that all this divisiveness around the adventure game started in like 2015 with like fucking YouTubers where
Aaron
Hansen. I remember being, on the internet 2005, 2006, and this is pre-Sonic 06, and I'm seeing people, I'm shocked. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these people dislike Sonic Adventure.
Yeah,
right. I'm
we were
so
there.
surprised.
We fought the wars.
Yeah, we were there.
You fought in the Sonic Adventure wars.
And basically, though, what I'm getting at is that Sega has been following the advice of not the YouTubers from 2015, but from like the journalists from 2005, 2006, 2007, who all hated
the evil
Sonic's
journalists.
Friends. Yeah. Well, that was the most visible feedback that they could see at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Who all hated Sonic's friends, and so they proceed from Unleashed forward. Basically, they'd sweep them all under the rug. But people still really like those characters, and I think it's really cool that whoever. I mean, it's not just Fowler, obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure Tyson has a fairly large influence here too as well.
Dude, whatever they're paying Tyson Hess, they're not paying him enough.
Yeah, and there's a whole team of people, obviously, but it's great that people can recognize that there are merits to a lot of this franchise. Otherwise, it would not possibly have the longevity it would have had. It would have gone the way of Crash long ago.
Oh, Sonic should have died at dozens of points over the last 20 years, and
somehow didn't.
It's funny because it was almost nostalgic in a way to read these movie reviews that are complaining about Sonic's friends. It's like we've come full circle.
Oh my god, it is very like both ironic, funny, and also fucking infuriating. Some of the reviews for this movie are like, why aren't there more human characters?
Why aren't there more parts of this movie in it more?
And it's really telling. So let's talk about the climax now, because as soon as you get past that wedding and Sonic runs to the Emerald Island, is like it just becomes a complete Sonic movie from that point forward.
Oh god!
And it's just like nonstop until the end, and it's
fucking great.
Everything about that is just fantastic.
It goes from like good for a video game movie to just a really solid adventure movie from that point forward.
Yeah,
right.
It just turns into a great like the last 40 minutes of this movie are actually like fantastic.
I kind of would have preferred maybe the climax not be that Main Street in Green Hills again.
Yeah,
maybe like something different, but that's my only minor nitpick.
So we did have a pretty significantly different set piece in which I think they got a lot of mileage out of in the Labyrinth, and we actually had a sick fight scene between Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh
god, yeah.
Holy fucking Kino!
I mean, it's just absolutely hilarious when you compare it to like the first movie, where like Eggman chases Sonic across the world for 2 minutes, and then they just have the showdown in the street. That's not even a fight, and then Eggman goes away.
Yeah. And then this time around, they're like, okay, I'm just gonna have a raw beatdown between these two cartoon animals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, great. And even like just the big fight against the Death Egg Robo, whatever it's called.
I guess you can't call it the Death Egg Robot here, but that's what it is.
That is what it is. That was pretty awesome, too.
I was surprisingly happy with how they handled the Emerald stuff. Because going into this movie, it really seemed like they were doing the movie thing of, well, we can't have a movie where Sonic runs around finding seven emeralds. That's just too much. So we're just going to excise those completely and just replace them with the Master Emerald. Right. Which they do, but they also smartly still incorporate the Chaos Emeralds into that. It's like they absolutely know what they're doing here. It's just enough. They respect the source material, which is a big conversation lately, thanks to Halo. These people actually care about it even enough to like it, they didn't have to do that. It still would have worked if you just had the Master Emerald do it. But they cared enough that they knew people wanted to see the Chaos Emeralds, so let's work the Chaos Emeralds there in a way that doesn't detract from the movie and still makes sense.
That was the other thing. They actually very specifically like take that one line from the game where they say like the Emerald turns your dreams or whatever into reality. Like that is an actual thing they say. I forget what the exact line is, but
they also just take the line "Chaos is power."
Right, right. Chaos is power.
I would say the Chaos Emerald thing is a little bit underwritten in the movie. If you're not familiar with the games themselves, I can see how
Sonic gets a random power.
The Chaos Emeralds being there at all feels very tacked on. You're like, what the fuck even is that? Because they're only really mentioned in one line prior. They say that the Master Emerald is forged from the Chaos Emeralds. And so if you're not a Sonic fan watching that, you're probably thinking like, well, why even have this extra step here? You literally could have just had Sonic absorb the Master Emerald right then and there instead of having it shatter first. And it really would have made no difference between how you have perceived how this works up to this point. Mm-hmm. I don't want to tell them how they could have done it better, but I think at least a couple of lines on why the Master Emerald is forged for the Chaos Emeralds, like it's meant to control them, and so like if you use the Chaos Emeralds instead, it's like much more dangerous. Something like that could have added like a little bit more tension to the scene instead of I guess it just still works when it shatters and you only have 7 of them. Because otherwise, again, if you're not familiar with Sonic, that could be a little over your head. I'm not sure because I don't really know what their perspective would be, but. Regardless, did I appreciate the Chaos Emeralds being there? Yes, obviously.
I mean, I just appreciate that we got Super Sonic this time around, and like,
oh god, yeah.
They also nailed the design there. Like they completely captured how fucking overwhelmingly powerful he's supposed to be in that mode, and I just think it serves the finale really well. That they finally go there. It's like they were smart. I think they were totally smart not to do that in the first movie. And
I couldn't remember if they did Super Sonic in the last movie or not.
They like half did it. Like he went like into like super power. He went like super. He went like Super Saiyan, but not like Super Sonic.
He was false Super Saiyan.
Right.
Well, actually, Steve, in that movie is literally titled Super Saiyan Son Goku in the Japanese version. They just thought that's what Super Saiyan was supposed to look like.
He didn't go Super Saiyan. He went like ape mode, like Goku.
Yeah, it was his natural power, but like
right.
But yeah, they talked about how like it didn't make sense to go for it there, and they brought it back in this case where it totally does make sense, and I'm just so happy they did it, and I'm so happy they nailed it.
Oh yeah.
I am actually really curious about again. I mean, it's more than just one guy's effort, but I am actually pretty curious about Fowler's background and mindset for these movies, because I mean, like, we all know about, like, you know, he was an animator for Blur, and he did the Shadow the Hedgehog thing, but like that aside, usually these are the sort of guys. I mean, he doesn't really have any director credits. It's usually one of those guys you get to just be a studio yes man. But it seems like there is a legitimate fan to be found somewhere in that.
Yeah,
because otherwise, I don't think we would have gotten a movie like this with that exact same director. Otherwise,
I know. Think back to like when you first played Shadow the Hedgehog. You watch all those cutscenes, and then like what? 17? No, how many fucking years has it been? 15, 17 years later.
So yeah, 17.
That guy is now directing 2 Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and they're not terrible.
Yeah, amazing. And then a lot of people, I think my favorite conspiracy theory is, you know how they all talk about how they intentionally made the Sonic design bad.
I fucking hate that.
Right? Yeah, I hate that one too. Because they obviously had all the merch for that ready to go, and no studio would ever intentionally do something like that and delay their movie over.
Yeah, and cost them millions of dollars. Like,
yeah, it cost
them
millions
of dollars. That they weren't even sure was going to be a success, anyways.
I like to think my real like conspiracy is that they like forced Jeff Fowler to do it, and he was just like, okay, if this is what you want to go with, and then they sent out the trailer, and then they saw the reaction, and he was just like, fucking told you so. Now you can either put out a movie that's gonna be a pile of shit that everyone's gonna hate, or you can listen to me.
Yeah, no, that's the conspiracy theory I really love. I still think that's total bullshit, but it's such a fun story if it's true. Like somebody, maybe not specifically Fowler, like maybe him and some other people knew that the design looked bad, tried to make it look as bad as possible, so that they, while still getting the green light, so that eventually they'd be able to like round back and say, okay, now you get to do what we say. We get to do.
Well, I can't wait.
I still think it's BS, but it would be great if it was true.
I can't wait to watch like the miniseries on the making of this movie on like Hulu Plus, like 20 years from now.
So we've kind of talked around it a bit, but maybe we should discuss the post-credit scene a bit more.
Oh boy,
and its implications.
Sure,
yeah. I know some people who are not here in this podcast were not happy about it because they wanted a fucking Metal Sonic movie. But like, I don't know how you can't be excited for Shadow the Hedgehog, because like, dude, it's fucking Shadow the Hedgehog. We're going to get a Sonic Adventure 2 movie. Like,
I can't wait. I really, really, really hope that. Oh God.
Well, I mean, the thing is, even if you like hate Shadow the Hedgehog, like from like the games or whatever, you know that like because it's going to be like a movie. What these movies do, they're going to cast someone in that role that's going to like, you know, elevate it at least.
Oh,
that's going to be like the fun part, at least for me.
The thing with Metal Sonic though is that you wouldn't be able to do like a solo villain Metal Sonic movie. Like, with it being up in the air whether Jim Carrey is going to be coming back to the role, I really don't think that Metal Sonic would have been able to carry a third movie.
No. Yeah.
I know that people were thinking it would be Metal Sonic because it would be like, oh, you know, we're tying with CD now, so we would like, you know, like put Amy and Metal Sonic here, and you know, maybe do some like time shenanigans or something like that. But if you're not going to have Jim Carrey as Robotnik, and, you know, you're going to leave Robotnik's fate ambiguous because, you know, it's not really clear whether he's still, like, you know, they're obviously leaving the door open for him to come back if he decides to. But if he decides not to, and they decide to have, you know, Shadow be the solo villain, he certainly could. You know, there's avenues to explore in that realm that would justify this movie being, you know, like a Sonic and Shadow rivalry sort of movie, and having that sort of be the impetus to move forward into the next one. Whereas I don't think that you would get that with Metal Sonic unless you had Robotnik really backing him up.
Yeah.
And if they're not going to bring back Robotnik, they've said that they have no intention of recasting Eggman if Jim Carrey isn't going to be coming back in the role.
Yeah. If you cannot 100% guarantee Jim Carrey, you gotta put it all on Shadow.
I feel the exact same way.
You're only going to get, you don't know how many shots you're going to get at making Sonic movies, so it's like, dude, go with what people want the most, go with what would make people excited the most. Pretty much every Sonic fan likes Metal Sonic, but like he is not the escalation of excitement that you'd expect coming off of this movie. You have to keep going bigger.
Yeah, well, Shadow is the best way to maintain momentum, and then the idea of giving Knuckles his own series after this, because he's getting his own. Whether it's
Paramount
Hulu,
Plus.
It's Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah, but I mean,
they did such a great job with that Fairly Odd Parents series. I have complete faith in their Knuckles series.
I mean, I kind of do, but like, it is interesting that they're just going all in on this franchise, and I suppose part of it is they don't have many other franchises.
But not only that, when you have Shadow, you see the success of first movie. You see all the hype swimming around the second movie, and you end on a bang like Shadow that is going to draw up a lot of hype around people who are like interested in the franchise, because Shadow is such a popular character, for better or for worse. There's a reason why this third movie got the green light before the second one even dropped. And it's in no small part because I think Shadow is playing a role, and Shadow has such weight to him. It's something that I think a lot of people are going to look forward to as they head into a third movie. It's like, Sonic and Shadow on the big screen, especially with people who actually respect the IP in such a way that, they've handled these first two. It's kind of a guarantee for a decent box office show.
I mean, I'd be shocked if anyone out there like wasn't spoiled about the post-credit scenes before the movie came out, like at least here, because it was out in Europe before. Just because of how excited people were to share that fucking news, because that's exactly what they want.
If they do like Team Sonic versus Team Dark in the next movie, they won, baby.
I really hope both Rouge is in the next movie.
Okay, I want to talk about that.
I really hope that we get to see a young child get shot to death by a government agent.
So I want to talk about that because I've been thinking about this. Because obviously all the players of a Sonic Adventure 2 story have not been introduced in these movies yet, and I was wondering.
Well, Gun Commander.
Well, we basically have a Gun Commander actually, but do you think the next movie will introduce both Rouge and Amy, or just one of them? Because the reason I ask this is because you also have to introduce Shadow into this movie. So is introducing 3 new characters into this movie juggling too much? Or do you think
I honestly don't anticipate either of them being in the next movie.
Oh, you have to have one female Sonic character in there. They're not going.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing.
If you don't have a female Sonic character, we're gonna get shit like the wedding sequence again.
So here's the thing. All right. So I do think it's gonna be 3 characters, and I do think it's gonna be Shadow and Amy, not Rouge.
Omega.
It's gonna be big.
I could see like a big having a cameo, but like as like a part of the movie.
Here's the thing: the impetus for the movie's plot, and it's not just gonna be big. It's gonna be everyone except Rouge because she has breastises. All right, so it's gonna be the impetus for the movie's plot is like all these portals are now opening, and now Sonic's friends are now pouring in and all showing up at Tom and Maddie's house, and they're going to make a meta gag out of Tom and Maddie literally getting sick of Sonic's shitty friends.
I could see that. Make it like a multiverse
you have them show up
movie.
At the end of the movie, and they all save the day.
They all come like the end of Sonic Adventure. They all each have one of the Chaos Emeralds, and all come together.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be perfect. It would be interesting if they do just combine Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 in one movie, instead of the BioLizard just have it be Chaos.
I mean,
I don't know how well that would work.
No, because you gotta have the space battle. They have to go to space.
Well, yeah, you can just have Chaos in space.
Instead of
the BioLizard taking over,
it needs to be a big threat, like a bigger threat than
I guess so.
Than the
Sonic's got to go to space.
He's got to go to space.
Yeah,
I just don't know if it's going to follow or even loosely the plot beats of Sonic Adventure or Sonic Adventure 2, because they clearly have no interest in adapting a game story.
I mean, this movie does kind of, the second one does kind of do Sonic, 3 and Knuckles.
It kind of
it hits all the plot points with Knuckles.
It's an extremely loose interpretation.
Yes, but
of Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
The only thing I would challenge you on is that they specifically specified 50 years ago with Shadow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know, but that's part of his. Well, I mean, I guess that's.
They could have wrote a different backstory for him if they wanted to, but
in the same way that they wrote a different backstory. The
fact that they now locked themselves into this means I think they're pretty sure they want to do Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah,
do
something. What if they just straight up go jump all the way to Shadow the Hedgehog and just bring in what's his name, Doom?
Black Doom? They're not
Black Doom.
Oh my god!
Just bring in Black Doom.
I think
I'm good with 3 movies.
Here's why I think that with Shadow, it's important to keep that 50 years backstory. Is because I think Maria is such an integral element to Shadow as a character that it's almost tying them together so deeply that you really can't separate them. So obviously Maria is going to play some kind of a role in the story, because you just can't tell a story about Shadow the Hedgehog in any way, shape, or form.
Shadow the Hedgehog needs to have a motivation that involves revenge. That's just his character.
And Maria,
Longclaw killed Maria. He has to get revenge on all children of Longclaw.
Oh no!
Everyone just has this grudge against Longclaw.
Longclaw fucking genocided the echidna. She fucking killed children. This is
Longclaw assassination. Pulled a gun on Maria and shot her fucking dead.
If you're on a server with owls and you type in echidna genocide, all the owls on the server suddenly get banned.
But it's an interesting thing to think about, because there's certainly a lot of places they could go, but I do just kind of think they're locked into doing Sonic Adventure 2. It's such an easy template to do for a story. Why not run with it? As long as they don't do the Sonic X route where they have Chris take the place of Amy.
Oh God. Yeah, that.
I mean, hey, look, they could have Tom or Maddie take the place of Amy.
I guess.
Oh my God.
I mean, if
Tom talks to Shadow.
That's part of why I brought it up, because Amy is integral to that story, but only for that one part of it. So I want, but the thing is, she's also a popular character. She's the most well-known female and oldest female character in the series. So
I hope that if they do decide to bring her in, that it's not Amy and it's Rosie the Rascal. That would be really nice, but they're not going to do that.
I also have the horrible sinking feeling that if they did bring her in, it would be the Sonic Boom Amy, which is not a terrible character. It's just I'm so sick of the fucking Boom personalities.
Yeah, I get you. I totally understand.
They made her a fine character. It's just it's also just not Amy Rose. So
I mean, they were probably cast Amy as to be like a celebrity voice, and if they do that, it would, I don't know, maybe be more aligned with whatever celebrity is voicing her. Would be my theory.
Mm-hmm.
But
Kristen Wiig.
There you go.
There you go. And then wait, hold on a second. Okay, and then Shadow. People are saying everyone's betting on Keanu. Everyone wants Keanu. All right, I'm also seeing some shouts for Bale. I'm seeing Pattinson,
Nick Cage.
Yeah, I'm seeing. Yeah, I saw a couple of Nick Cages thrown in there. I'm thinking Patrick Warburton. What do you guys think?
Hey, Sonic.
He'd be too distracting. I love Patrick Warburton, but like his voice is so iconic.
Yeah,
it'd be distracting.
He's not really suited to a role like that, though. I feel like a serious character like that. I'm thinking more along the lines like Vince Vaughn or someone like that.
Vince
like,
Vaughn,
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Vince Vaughn.
What a
Vince
pull.
Vaughn. I see.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn,
Maybe
Ben
somebody who
Stiller.
played opposite Vince Vaughn in Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Ooh, that would be great,
Hey,
actually.
Hey, you know what?
I could actually see that happening, and I think you might be right, Colin.
Okay, all right. No.
Coming off the heels of his breakout role as the Penguin in the Batman.
So it's funny because, like, obviously there's, all this discussion about should you replace the established voice actors with big Hollywood actors, and
Yes.
I think they made the right choice in not doing that with Tails, but they also, I think, made the right choice in doing that with Idris Elba, because he really embraced that role and did an excellent job with it. It's funny because Shadow is one of the characters I think you could easily do that with, because his voice is just so bad now. Like, it's
Oh God,
no one's clamoring for him to keep the same voice actor. So you could just bring in anyone, but I do think you do have to bring in someone who wants to embrace that role, because otherwise it's just not going to work.
It's true.
Who's the guy who voices Sonic in this again? Ben Schwartz. Can we just get him to voice Sonic in the games now?
Please. Well,
I do like Roger Craig Smith. It's just the biggest problem with him is that I associate his voice with what Sonic has been for the last decade, and that's not a good thing.
Right. And I've always kind of been, you can call me an apologist for, I guess, the direction that they took within the last decade. It merely in terms of tone, in terms of writing, I've never really defended it.
Yeah.
I think that, Sonic can embrace a variety of tones, and if they do want to do something lighter, he's certainly a flexible enough character, and even appearance-wise, seems like it lends itself very well to that. I think something like these movies strike a much better balance in tone for what works really well for Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember when Jason Griffith did both Sonic and Shadow?
Yeah. I've always really liked
should do Shadow as well.
Maybe. But hey, if they got Jason Griffith to be Shadow, I think that would be
Oh my God. Bring him back.
Yeah, if you got an official Sonic voice to fight Sonic in the movie, that'd be kind of cool.
Someone should really ask Ben Schwartz to do an interpretation of Shadow just to see what it sounds like, because I'd be very interested to hear that.
I think that would work well, honestly.
Who also voiced the nephews on DuckTales alongside Ben Schwartz?
I don't know who the other one. He's the only one I know.
Yeah. I think they had Abed. I think Abed from Community is another one of them. Get Abed to voice Shadow.
Oh God.
Was there anything else about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, you guys wanted to touch on?
No, we should just speculate on voice actors for the next hour.
No, I think the movie is just overall very solid. I think maybe in terms of its plotting, it could definitely tighten up a lot of stuff. There's a lot of convenient stuff that happens because the movie needs to happen. Yeah. There's a lot of times where it's like, oh yeah, I guess because in the first movie they literally have Sonic stop time when he moves, and he just doesn't do that in this movie at all.
He has one moment of it, doesn't he?
And yeah, I think maybe he grabs a missile or something.
When he's hopping around between all the robots in the on not ice cap zone.
Yeah. And so in terms of some of the conveniences and stuff like that, it's a little bit vexing, never enough to really spoil my enjoyment of the movie. I am just surprised, and I know we talked about how much we enjoyed it as fans of Sonic. A lot of it, especially the latter half of the movie, post-wedding part of the movie, and even a lot of the pre-wedding stuff, I just enjoyed it as a movie. Yeah. And I think it's really cool that families, kids and adults, are out there enjoying Sonic the Hedgehog Hedgehog in the year 2022 with no weird strings attached over his waning legacy in video games.
His rough transition to 3D.
His rough transition to film.
Yeah,
it's about family.
His fan base, anything like that. It's just really cool to see people liking Sonic the Hedgehog, no strings attached.
Yeah, and I can't wait for Sega to fuck it all up with the next game.
Can't wait for Sonic Frontiers to ruin the fun.
Well, we have not only this movie, we also have a new animated series coming this year and the new game if it doesn't get delayed.
Ew.
So there's a lot of places they're going to be taking this franchise, and I hope they're all successes because we've all stuck with Sonic through the absolute worst. So if anyone deserves this, we deserve it.
He hears the voice of Sonic in his head, and the voice of Sonic tells him whether or not it's a good game. If the voice of Sonic will tell him that it's a good game, then that's how we know.
Do you think Izuka is like silently seething over the success of like everything Sonic related in that's like Western made?
He doesn't strike me as someone that would be kind of jealous about it.
Look. As funny as a lot of the Don't Go Too Far Mania team.
Too far.
As funny as those are, I mean, Mania got made because of Izuka. So I have no doubt that he very much likes his job.
Yeah.
It's just that he's not always the best guy for
it. Not good at it.
I could see some of the suits at Sega being a bit upset about it. Because they didn't want to do a sequel for some reason. But I think they just want Sonic to be successful.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad it
tides do seem to be changing because they seem to be very insistent on the fact that this new Sonic game is not coming out until it's done. So they're going to take their time with it.
It'll be out when it's out. It'll be out when it's out. We like that.
Yeah. I hope it's out this year, but God. I wouldn't be shocked. Everyone else is getting delayed, so why not this?
Yeah, I hope that I just really hope they actually put some amount of it into it because I mean what we've seen, it's just like they're doing. It's got the little Breath of the Wild jingle and
well, it's funny because
grass.
when they did Sonic Lost World, it felt like they were going too hard trying to make a Mario game, and they suffered because of that. I'm interested to see
just Galaxy.
Now they're going to make a Zelda game, maybe it'll work. Maybe who knows? At this point,
out shrugging George Lucas.
Yeah, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
how
we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's hard to be excited for. Yeah, Sonic
I'll believe it when I see it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Frank is
looking forward to chaos in the series.
Please put Rouge the Bat in the next movie. That's my only request.
Please.
I don't think they're going to.
Please put Rouge the
Monica
Bat.
Bellucci as Rouge the Bat.
Please have Rouge the Bat in the next movie with her jiggling fucking.
Give her
tips.
a shower scene. That'll help.
Give her her fucking.
I was just done talking about people liking Sonic, no strings attached. Why are you guys doing this right now? You're dragging us all back into this.
Well, I'm just glad we can see another movie with Sonic, the kid and Tom, his dad. So
have it be Rouge and also that lesbian chick from Sonic X. There's your gay representation in the next Sonic movie.
And that's the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Yep. Bye.
All right, that's a wrap. Everyone say goodbye.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.